Welcome. We're here for the first edition of, I called it Ask Tyler. I don't really love that name, but whatever you want to call it, we're here.
Titles are pretty easy to change. You can make it like a different title every week, and that could be part of the brand, you know?
Yeah, that's true. I guess there's a lot of different things I could do with it. But
Tyler
I just figured
fantasy football questions. Yeah. Include the title too.
Yeah. No, that's definitely something I could do. But no, so I just figured that I would come on and do this show in the same time slot that I did my DLF show, which they canceled. But that's okay. No hard feelings. You know me. I
imagine being canceled. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
I hear a lot about it, but gonna have to take us through that. What's it like?
It's the and I guess we can just take a minute to address that right at the beginning. It's the right decision. They made the right decision, because at the end of the day, there's no way that we could make a show that both them and I were happy with. That we had gotten to a point of creative differences, I felt like. They did pull the plug on the show, but I felt that it wasn't really working either. And we just creatively don't want the same thing. I want to be able to curse. I want to be able to say, this player fucking sucks. Like, rant as much as I want. At the end of the day, this is my channel. This show is not going to be taken down. This show is not going off the air. I can say, obviously, I'm not going to say anything offensive or anything like that, but I can be negative or whatever. The show's not going to be taken down. I can say whatever I want. And at the end of the day, that's what I'm looking for. And, that's not really compatible, especially with the new direction that DLF is going with the YouTube channel, which has had a lot of success. It's the right decision for them. I mean, it's had so much success with what they're doing. And I think people should check out what DLF is doing with their YouTube channel, because it's really going very well. But, the days where my brand and their YouTube channel were compatible were about a year ago. And without Cal and Addison, I feel like that we'd way gotten off the rails of when this show and DLF made sense together. But with that said, I had a bunch of great guests booked for the return of what was then Ask DLF, what's now Ask Tyler, whatever you want to call it. And Peter agreed to come on the show anyway. To continue our conversation from our episode of, well, I don't know if we're going to continue that conversation, but whatever you want to call it, from our episode of the Dynasty Crossroads that I guested on, which I had a great time doing, by the way. But if some of my audience might not be familiar, Peter, do you want to tell them about your podcast, other things that you're doing, whatever?
Nah, I'm actually just talking with my lawyers, seeing if I'm allowed to talk on this show. Now it's not part of the DLF, so, I'll get back to you in a sec. Yeah, no, it's Dynasty Crossroads. It's been out for a minute. That's about it. You can hear me. Lately, I've been interviewing people. Last half a year or so, I've just been bringing people on to talk, because my co-host left a couple of years ago. But sometimes it's just it was a solo show for a while, and really is. But especially during this time of year, I enjoy talking to other people and seeing what they think, and trying to steal things from their process so I can, beat my friends in fantasy football more often. That's basically it. It's an excuse for me to interview people I think can help me win more fantasy leagues. And if you want to listen in, that's pretty cool.
Makes sense.
You can find it at Dynasty Crossroads on all the podcatchers.
I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I assume it's on all the podcatchers.
Luckily, I know. So, I have you covered there.
I know how to record it and upload it, and then Jake.
I know. So many things, right?
Yeah. All right.
So much tech stuff to do.
I'm down a nerd, so I don't know what to do with that anymore.
And then Matt, you're here today. Why don't you? I've seen that you've been working on some things. Why don't you tell the people what you've been working on?
So I have a YouTube channel. It's Debbie to Dynasty Film Room. The handle on it is the same as my Twitter, which is on screen here, at Debbie to Dynasty FR. And so yeah, I do film breakdowns. So right now it's rookie season, and all of my content right now is rookie focused. I just did a JSN, Jackson Smith and Jigba film breakdown, strengths and weaknesses, and then I'm highlighting. I'm doing some short videos on risers and fallers from the Senior Bowl, and I'll be obviously cranking through as many prospects as I can get through before draft season. So come tune in, hang out. I love doing it. So the goal is to get people in and out under 10 minutes, everything you need to know about a prospect. So.
No, that's awesome. That's the kind of stuff I'm looking for. Just, that quick hitting, really good information in a relatively short period of time. Enough time to get into it a little bit, not just 1 minute, but under 10 minutes is I think the right amount of time. So that's just the wheelhouse I'm looking for, Matt.
Thanks. That's I know, people are busy and that appeals to a lot of folks. So why talk for 30 minutes about something you can cover in 10? Just be efficient with it and get people in and out. So that's kind of what I try to focus on my channel. So
personally, Matt, I don't care about your time or anyone else's time. I'm like, look, if you're spending your free time interested in Dynasty fantasy football content, come on, either we're degenerates or we already have too much free time. So hear me talk for 30 minutes about something. Guilty
of both. Guilty. Oh, I'm guilty.
No, I spent all my time on it, so I'm with you there.
No, I actually think it's a good goal, man. Increasingly trying to say things succinctly as possible does make better content. So yeah, it's definitely a goal you should try and meet. But if it takes an hour to say something properly, that's fine. It's just
absolutely. I think I love podcast formats too, like this, where you can just get on and talk shop, and people can listen to it in their car ride. And then I think the fun thing about a film breakdown is that you can show instead of just telling them about it. You can actually put the film on screen and point some things out. And so lots of different ways to consume content. But if you're interested in some short film breakdowns, check out my channel. Thanks, guys.
I love film channels. I like listening, and I write down some of the vocabulary, and then I reply to Twitter posts about film and see how long it takes them to figure out I know what I'm talking about. So I appreciate you. I really do.
Well, if you're taking the vocabulary, you're all good. You're gonna sound great.
Where's my list? I got hit, swivel, routes is a good one. If you throw routes out for a second, they really think you know. You at least you're on the same page. I don't really know what a route is, but
I don't know what it is.
Hip swivel is pretty good. Toe tap was one of my favorites. I thought it was a dance move, and apparently it is not a dance move. That's how I lost the last conversation.
Oh no. But yeah. So I saw some news.
You should really take the wheel.
No, I got it. Don't worry.
I just keep going. It doesn't stop.
I saw some news about an hour ago that says that the Saints invited Derek Carr for a visit.
Yeah.
I saw that.
Pretty sure the Raiders accepted 15 minutes ago or whatever. They allowed it.
Yeah. Oh, we got an all-star cast. Yeah, I am thinking, to be honest, I'm thinking of now that both of these shows are going to be on this channel. I've been obviously doing the Monday show forever. I'm probably, given that people are not as used to this show being at this time, there's a decent chance that the shows flip. Ask Tyler is assuming that it continues, that the Monday show is the one with bigger audience. That'll be Ask Tyler. That'll be the no show sheet show. This show will be the one with a show sheet. So that might flip over the next couple of weeks. But we'll see how, which one is better, what people prefer. But that might flip. But it will be. I just have to decide now that they're both on my channel. One of these shows will be more of an AMA type thing. The other one will have more of a show sheet that we'll try to stick to. But if it works better to have that on Monday and then the topic show on Tuesday or vice versa, we'll just have to kind of see which one works better. Because it doesn't matter to me either way. I'm cool with whatever. But we'll see. Let's see. Wide receivers age 31 getting a top 36 finish is 51% available wide receivers at that age, and top 24 is 26%. I spent 24 third on Robert Woods, who will be 31 in April. Do you believe he hits those thresholds? No. But If someone else has a different opinion, I'd love to hear it, but I would say no.
No. I mean, Robert Woods, he played in the majority of games this year. He was fine, but for me to say he's going to be a top 36 finish at wide receiver position is a lot. I think Treylon Burks is going to take the next step. Are we even sure that Ryan Tannehill is going to be there? I'm pretty confident he will be their quarterback, but if it's anyone else, it's a downgrade for the offense, I would say. So I would not be buying into Robert Woods being a top 36 wide receiver next season.
Is he under contract or is he?
He is, but I think they can
get out of it.
I think so. Let's take a look at that.
Okay.
Pretty sure they can get out of it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, they can get out of it.
Well, I think they will get out of it because they can save $12 million by getting out of it. And
they'll get out of it then. Yeah,
he looked cooked as fuck last year.
He's a year removed from that ACL now, and so maybe if he gets a good landing spot, I mean, low end wide receiver 3, I think is within the range of outcomes. He said he paid a third. I don't think that's a terrible price, but he's not a guy that I'm like excited or going out trying to buy necessarily.
Yeah, I think similar to Matt, you can spend a third on worse things, to be honest with you. But honestly, you can also spend them on better things. I like your process there, but there are a couple of older guys falling right now. Like, there's relatively little difference between Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams, for example, apart from last year's injury. Now, he costs a lot more than a third, but he has a lot better upside than the top 36. Again, you're spending a third. I don't care so much. Adam Thielen, probably a better name that would be higher on my list in terms of old guys worth a third in most Dynasty leagues. But I like your process. I like that you're thinking that way about it. I don't think it's outside the range. It's just not on my list, but I wouldn't say it's a bad idea.
I think you nailed it with the second part of your first sentence of there are better things you could spend it on. I mean, to me, Robert Woods.
I just keep throwing words out there. Eventually, one or two.
Those were good words, though. Those were good words. I really do think Robert Woods is just cooked. I mean, when someone is 30 and looks horrible. I mean, he looked horrible.
He played in every single game. Every game last year.
Yes, and he looked bad in all of them.
I know. You think he'd have one really good game, maybe, but
I'm more even referring to the fact that he just looked washed. Like he didn't look like a threat on the field. Like he looked washed. He looked just done. He looked finished. And I don't think that was 30. I don't know. 31 is going to be better. I don't think so. So he's just not for me.
No, if he finds himself in a great situation, I could see him being a top 36 wide receiver. Right now, I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, I doubt it. Thoughts on Will Levis?
Oh, boy.
Well, we have our rookie expert, multiple rookie experts. Although, Peter, I know quarterbacks are not your favorite.
Oh, it's definitely not me. If you're talking about it, I honestly don't feel like
I feel like you're the wide receiver whisperer. No? Or isn't that what you would say? I mean, I feel like that's the position I hear you talk about the most on Crossroads.
I think that's just a nerd thing. Wide receivers have some of the most interesting signal. Running backs tend to just be about opportunity. Wide receiver, we think we can gain an edge, especially where especially when it's decreased lately, but we're more interested in running backs over the years. But no, I honestly think I'm an expert in anything, and that's not just me word playing. It's like, I think most people are doing a pretty good job. Jetpack Galileo on Twitter said something interesting, which he does fairly often, to be fair. But he was talking about how mostly production is solved for at the NFL, and so people have gone into looking for extra edges outside the edges because we mostly know the same things. And I will say, it wasn't that way when I started. Like, knowing who was or wasn't going to be meant to be good based on what they did in college was fairly rare because everyone was more into athleticism and the extra stuff people are starting to get into a bit more now. But no, I think even like ADP is going to, like 90% of the people out there charging you for money on their fantasy football content, ADP is beating them. Like, it's really difficult to beat ADP. The Joe Smo is actually pretty smart these days. And so edges are fewer and far between. I think it's honestly fair to say that. Then again, I don't know about your league. Like, if your league, everyone rolls into the draft with a magazine, maybe not. I'm not.
They don't roll with just a magazine. They roll with the PowerPoint, the ranking spreadsheets. They got everything in front of them in these drafts.
So what are there more thoughts on Will Levis? Because this is not my area of expertise. I mean, here he expounded on it here.
Here's the thing about Will Levis for me is that I don't think he's a good quarterback.
Well, you heard it here, folks.
I mean, there's that uncertainty in the sense that like people didn't think Justin Herbert was a good quarterback either. And quarterbacks are very hard to get right. NFL teams are wrong more than half the time at this position. And so there's that lingering doubt in my mind that like if he gets top 5 draft capital in the real NFL draft, which is what all the mocks are telling you, can you comfortably fade him? It's a risk if you fade him. From what I have seen on tape and even just looking at statistics, like I can't remember a guy being as poor statistically as he was this season and still getting top 5 draft hype. Like it.
Zach Wilson. Who said that?
Yeah. It doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, the excuses about his surrounding cast are overblown. In my opinion, I think he did have a rough offensive line, but he had great wide receivers and his decision-making, his mechanics, it's just a mess. Like he's a big project for whoever drafts him. There's some traits there, but it's hard to fix the mental side of the game. And he just seems to make the wrong decision at every turn. So I'm pretty out on Will Levis personally at what it's going to cost you to get him in a super flex draft. He's going to be top 5 rookie pick. And I can't spend that on a guy that looks terrible every time I watch him play.
You really think he's going to be a top 5 rookie pick?
I think
if he's a top 5 real NFL draft pick, it's hard not to take him there in Superflex.
It's pretty easy for me not to.
With his rushing ability and just his overall upside, his arm strength, he's pretty accurate. Yeah, if he's drafted in the top 10 in the NFL draft, there's no doubt in my mind he will ADP be a top 5 rookie Superflex draft.
Well, then I'll have none of him.
I'm not saying that's a good pick. I'm just saying that's just
also
the way
this alleged rushing upside. I must be looking at a different player. I don't see it. I don't know where it is. Where is it? Tell me more about that.
He's not going to run around.
Not in the stats. So tell me where it is.
I
want to hear more about it.
The comp that I've heard thrown out for him is like Ben Roethlisberger, because he's
that's not rushing upside.
That's not rushing upside. That's like mobile enough and like hard to bring down, can escape the pocket, but it's not like he's going to go get you 50 rushing yards and a rushing touchdown. And he's not like the Konami code type of a quarterback.
No.
Speaking of that, give me Anthony Richardson later all day. That's all I'm going to be doing.
Yeah, if you're looking for a project who needs work with his decision making,
I know.
Richardson's the better athlete in basically every metric you could look at. He's faster. He's just.
I find it hard to believe that.
I see him smiling over there. I know he disagrees with this.
Well, I find it hard to believe that even in Superflex that Will Levis is going to go ahead of Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think we've learned this lesson. I don't think that's going to happen.
See, like I know Justin Herbert was just mentioned. A lot of people were talking crap about him. A lot of people didn't expect him to be a great NFL quarterback, and he obviously is. And he was drafted in the top 10 in the NFL draft, and he was still a top 5 rookie pick that year.
And if you took Jamar Chase over him, are you crying?
No. Tears of joy.
I personally would
not
draft
even the
Justin
same
Herbert
year. I don't even know. I'm too tired for
Jamar Chase in a startup draft, but
but it's close.
Yeah, no, it's very close.
I mean, they're both first round players. So.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I'm thinking like maybe he has the kind of rushing upside that, and it's not even good rushing upside. Aaron Rodgers had when he was running around a little bit more back when he was, in his 20s and 30s. So not a Konami code quarterback like that was said, but enough to add a little bit to your fantasy season.
It used to be said he had sneaky rushing upside like a
There we go. Look, the vocabulary. It's coming. I love it.
He grinds the film. He grinds the film, people.
Uncredited. I'm not telling you which grinder taught me that one. No,
sneaky
quarterbacks this year.
He's white and has rushing upside.
I don't think this is the year to think you're. I don't know. I don't do a lot of quarterback stuff because honestly, I don't think we have it anywhere near solved. I was just talking about how a lot of the edges are taken up. I think quarterback's very mystic. There are a lot of signals that suggested Patrick Mahomes couldn't transfer to an NFL. And honestly, while I made fun of it at the time, and I got Patrick Mahomes right, then quit, I figured I wasn't going to do better than that. And I stand by that. But I think I just got lucky because the concerns in him were realistic. They were transferring to a pro-style offense, and you need a good coordinator who's going to work with the quarterback, and you need someone with Patrick Mahomes' talent to really pay off that way. I think I kind of just got lucky. And most of the stuff we know about quarterbacks in college are efficiency and experience. Sometimes underrated because we're always worried about age. But like Zach Wilson had a lack of experience with his efficiency, for example, and was actually relatively inefficient. If you looked at SIPO, I think, if I remember right. But yeah, I think there's some mystery sauce. So if you like watching the tape, I think quarterback's honestly where to go at. I will say Will Levis is probably better than we're comfortable with. It's like last year's quarterback class. Will Levis is Kenny Pickett. Like, that's what's in my head. Like, if we started at Will Levis, we'd be like, not inside the top 20, but it's fine. But I think anyone that drafts Anthony Richardson in the first round, which is the buzz right now, I'm just going to stick to Travis, who is better knows more about college than me because he actually, pays attention to it, not just during draft season. And he said it would set NFL analytics back 20 years if they draft Richardson in the first round. That's like taking all the good stuff they figured out, that there's this path to developing a quarterback, let them establish with their legs and develop as a passer, and then going, oh, rush good, draft rush guy, instead of noticing that all those rushes were above average passes, or at least average passes, and Richardson is like worse than Drew Lock in terms of passing. That's just thinking it's about the rushing, not that Lamar Jackson or Hurts are actually good at playing. And again, I don't know much about Richardson, and I want to root for every player. And while it's fun to say, this guy sucks, honestly, he's a young guy trying to make a dream. So I'm rooting for him to get that capital. But we're just playing a silly little side game. And I think I'll let someone else get the sneaky Richardson pick in the late first round. I'll trade that pick to them if they want it. That's where I'm at quarterback. I stop playing the game and I start playing the player. Like, you can make your bet here if you want to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. To follow up that, if Patrick Mahomes was with Matt Nagy and the Bears, I think he would have been a little different than Andy Reid. Like, honestly,
no, honestly, that's fair. Again, we're quarterback. Look at Geno Smith. In the year of Geno Smith, we're no longer allowed to say we know who's good or bad. Like, maybe Geno Smith needed that development and needed some extracurricular activities, which are despicable outside of football. I don't know. But it's very clear there was a path to him being a phenomenal. He's not Patrick, quarterback that can lead a franchise. I think it's an open debate. Is there a lack of good quarterbacks or a lack of good coaches? And I'm on the side of players, so I'll say the coaches are missing.
I don't think anyone saw Geno Smith being this good coming.
No.
Anyone.
No, Tyler, there's someone on Twitter with receipts. I say every outlandish thing, and I
love it.
So there is someone who knew it.
And I don't play the social media game that way,
Geno Smith was certain, to be fair.
I don't do that.
Again, it's ridiculous. If you don't hit at a high rate, shut up. But Geno bet on himself, and he had a right to strut this season. No one believed in me, and damn right, no one did. And good for him.
I didn't write back though.
Mm-hmm.
It's a Geno Smith quote.
That was
no. Again, I don't watch things, Tyler.
It was live on TV.
TV? What's a TV? Come on.
TV? You don't have that?
You dropped the mic.
No TV?
Netflix. Okay, I'm young and hip. I just I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, how do you watch the NFL then?
I don't. Never watched a game. I honestly don't know what shape the ball is.
Okay, that's good. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. That's good.
That's normal. We call that the PA Heidi effect. No, obviously I enjoy football. That's why I do any of this, and I enjoy watching players play. But it's no part of my process. I watch it where everyone else watches it. You've got YouTube TV, you've got highlights, and sometimes I get a free subscription to Fubo or whatever. But it's not part of my Dynasty life because I do think I've had this argument on talking about Twitter arguments. Someone saying you should develop all your skills. It's like, dude, I'm an unpaid idiot in his basement. Like the idea I have to professionally develop. Come on, you can go be you, be your best you. Me, I'm having fun. I enjoy watching football, but I do not think my eyes offer anything. We've got literal ex-NFL players, ex-college players. Check out Ray GQ. Got great eyes, can tell you all about what's going on, and probably has good insight into what's meant to be happening on a play. Like, I don't think me doing a film study course is going to compete. Like, I can
That's
just
why I don't do
Ray.
a film.
Good.
Yeah. You want the Tyler film study course? I don't think anyone wants that. I mean, it might be interesting. People might want to see it, but I don't. Just to see how silly I am, but I don't think people are demanding a Tyler film class. Maybe, I don't know.
Give it to us, Tyler.
Thank you. I think you're the one person who's ordering that, but I appreciate it.
Can I answer this question the same way we answer all these questions?
Yeah, why don't we get to this one? Yeah, this is nice. CeeDee Lamb, Higgins, and Burks. So that sounds good.
I like that.
Yeah, well, this is going great. I mean, that's great. I mean, to have CeeDee Lamb, Higgins, and Burks, I feel like that's a great wide receiver room, no? I mean, that's good.
Yeah.
Those are your top three?
I think
pick who to target. Like
that is a really valuable dynasty wide receiver room.
Yeah.
But as a contending team, I would be a little nervous in terms of like Burks as my wide receiver 3. What is he going to look like next year? I just don't know if he's proven himself to the point where I want to count on him as a contender, but
you can't be stacked everywhere.
I know.
Like,
you're right.
This is pretty good. I mean, CeeDee Lamb is a middling wide receiver 1, and Higgins is a borderline wide receiver 1.
But like, if you've got another team in your league that's like got Kupp and Adams, I'm just saying, like, this is a great dynasty wide receiver core, but there could be better like contending wide receiver groups.
This is about like my ideal dynasty. This is about ideal. Like, if I were actually,
as far as the second half of the question about the 106 and who he should target, always take the best player available.
Always.
Never draft positional need. It's a terrible idea. Take the best.
Okay, don't pick Will Levis. How about that? Don't pick Will Levis. Can we agree on that? Can we all agree on that piece of it?
Well, I'll say absolutely, unless he's a top 10 NFL pick.
I don't give a shit.
I will say,
I learned my lesson.
Sometimes guys make that never.
I learned my lesson with this. Yeah. I'm not doing this again. After Zach Wilson, I'm good. Will Levis, for me, I have him at 108 right now. If he falls to 108, fine. But I'm not taking Will Levis over Jahmyr Gibbs, Jordan Addison, Jackson Smith, and Jigba. Just period. I'm not doing it. I don't care. I'm not doing it. I don't care if I need a quarterback. I don't care. You can get a quarterback. I mean, I just was writing an article today. It says that I can trade the DLF trade analyzer. It says I can trade the 211 for Jimmy Garoppolo. I can get a quarterback for that's going to start for the 211. That's very cheap.
Is he definitely going to start?
Okay, so the other alternative is to spend the 105 or 106 on Will Levis. That sounds vomit-inducing.
Well, those are your only two options. Let's be honest.
I mean, but between those two options, which would you rather do? You said 211.
You
don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. I have other alternatives. You could spend the 203 on Matthew Stafford. That's the DLF trade analyzer says.
I would rather do that.
Says you can do that, right? It does say that. That's from the DLF analyzer. It says you can do that. The article just dropped on the site today. You can totally do that. Why? So it's not as hard to get. This is why extreme quarterback, lots of quarterbacks, it doesn't work. You can get a cheap quarterback in Superflex now. People have dropped the delusion that every starting quarterback is worth a first, right? You can get quarterbacks for less than a first. So I'm not going to spend high-end capital on a quarterback.
But those aren't locked and loaded quarterbacks, starting quarterbacks that you're mentioning. That's the only problem. Like Jimmy Garoppolo, he really could not be a starter next year, and he's old.
Oh, he will be. Oh, 100%. I'll bet. You want to bet? I'll bet you any amount of money you want that he'll be a starter week 1. Amount.
The reason you're getting him for so cheap is because there's a question there. And there's
an opportunity.
It really is.
It's an opportunity.
And even if he is, I don't trust that he'll be the quarterback all season long. I don't trust he can stay healthy all season long.
For less than a first too. Like,
okay.
Spending high-end draft capital on quarterbacks you don't believe in is how you short yourself in a Superflex dynasty.
And
it's
somebody
very
might
bad.
believe in Levis. I mean, they might.
Well,
I
then,
don't.
then
But
if someone
I'm just saying,
believes in him, then you should do it.
follow
Then you should
your
do it.
process. Take who you think is the best player available, regardless of your positional need. If you hit on it, if you're right more than you're wrong, you can trade for a guy at a position that you do need and get a plus back on top. So,
absolutely. I'm just saying that I think people, given this question, we're talking about needs and other things.
sure.
I think people will feel that they need to take a quarterback because they don't have one. You can get one. I'm telling you, you can get one. I've seen trades, for quarterbacks are being sold on the cheap. Fire sale of Derek Carr is happening. I saw someone had gotten Derek Carr for the 207. What about that? You can do that. That's an opportunity, a move you could make. There are so many ways you can acquire a quarterback. You just have to target those that are in a dip at the moment. You can do it in a super flex. It's not what it used to be.
I think the Derek Carr one would have been my favorite.
Well, that one is great. I mean, we would all love to do that. So I'm just saying there are other ways. And because there are other ways, and the same principles apply to running back, wide receiver, and tight end. Tight end, maybe not. But running back and wide receiver, it does apply. The same principles. There are other players you can buy low. The article I was doing today, it says you can get David Montgomery for the 209. That's cheap. Like, I don't like David Montgomery, but that's cheap. Like, there are ways to acquire positions at a cheap price. So for that reason, you always want to take value because you can always make another trade later, as Dynasty Outhouse would say, as you would know, Peter, because I feel like Dynasty Outhouse says that on the Dynasty Grind often. You can always
trade
make
for value, trade
later.
for need.
There it is.
I think a lot of it too.
Absolutely.
Is what is your risk aversion? Because if you're taking a guy like a Will Levis or an Anthony Richardson in the first round of your draft, there's a significant chance that you're going to miss with your first round draft pick. The upside, obviously, if they are a high NFL draft pick and they've got some job security, and what if they become a franchise quarterback? Now you've got a very, very valuable superflex asset.
Well,
so it's a boom bust thing. Like especially if it's not a quarterback that you're really high on, but you're just like, oh, I'm going to take him because what he could be. You just got to understand there's a lot of risk there too. You mentioned Zach Wilson, Josh Rosen, Baker Mayfield, Sam Darnold. I mean, you could run through a laundry list of quarterbacks who were high NFL draft picks that are dead weight on your dynasty team now. But really, it's if you're taking a pick like that, you're shooting for I hope he turns out to be Justin Herbert or Josh Allen or Lamar Jackson or something, and then it's like, well, I can get 3 firsts for this guy if he turns out to be that. But
I mean, let's be honest. Outside of a couple of players, everyone is a risk. But let's move on to this one because I think this is interesting. What fantasy player do you want your favorite NFL team to draft this year? I can start. I really liked the mock draft where I saw that the Giants picked Jackson Smith and Jigba. I like that one. I like that mock draft. I was all in on that one. So I'm good with that.
I have seen a few mock drafts where CJ Stroud falls to 9 for my Panthers, and
that's not going to happen.
I don't think it's going to happen, but I've seen it at least 2 mock drafts. And what would I want my favorite NFL team to do? That is
Panthers fan, right?
Yeah.
Oh well. You liked it when I
fell to 9. I would be happy about it. I don't want any of the other quarterbacks.
Interesting. I mean, I want Bijan in Philly. I'm greedy, and I'm going to keep it that way.
If I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan. A lot's going to depend on what happens with Lamar Jackson, but I guess if we're talking fantasy players, I think they're pretty good at wide receiver, pretty good at quarterback, pretty good at tight end. So it would be a wide receiver. So one of the top 3 wide receivers, that would be really cool and something I would get really excited about for the Baltimore Ravens for sure.
No Bijan Robinson for you.
It would be. Don't get me wrong. I'd be very excited. It just okay. If he fell, I would get very excited about that. But I think a wide receiver is more what the Ravens need.
I do think.
I thought you said the Ravens were good at wide receiver. I was about to argue with you. But.
Oh no! Rashad Bateman is okay, and he's still got a lot to prove. But I do not want to go into next season with Rashad Bateman as the only wide receiver the Ravens have.
Peter, what team are you a fan of?
None. Yeah, I'm more of a player fan, and I don't have a favorite NFL team. I've got some teams I enjoy the way they've run there.
Yeah.
How come some of you've never watched football?
I've tried to be a fan of Cincinnati and Indianapolis are the closest teams to me, and I was a big fan of Andrew Luck at the time. But like I have no home team because my home is like doesn't have a team, obviously. England, and I came into it late. Like I came into fantasy football through being invited to a league because they needed a 12th man. They were like, it doesn't matter, warm body, got it. I can do that. I'm warm most of the time, and I actually just kind of fell in love with the process of research and the community, and honestly watching the players. So, like I say, I'm a player fan. It's not like a statement or anything. It's like I don't care. Like. To me, again, coming from the outside, it feels a little like not, and you can team up with whoever you want. Like you live your best life, you have fun. Like I'm all about it. But it's kind of like, the janitor who had the same mop for 20 years. They replaced the head 5 times and the handle a couple, but I mean, he's had it for 20 years. Like an NFL team doesn't exist. And I'm not I'm not rooting for which millionaire gets his plaything into the playoffs, but players, some of them, especially some of them have come from
they're all billionaires.
Way up. But I can empathize with them. I'm like, oh yeah, that guy came from nothing, worked his way up on his skill. Like I can get excited about that. But an NFL team, I don't care who gets the trophy. I care more about the players. So like, unfortunately, I've tried a few times to fan them, and it just doesn't work for me. But I mean, it is what it is. Sorry. So I guess I can answer this question from, who do I want to go to a great team?
Yeah,
that's JSN. Yeah. But I think he was already said, I really hope Addison finds the right fit. He's more of an Amon-Ra St. Brown profile-wise in terms of his best year. And so I feel like that's important for him. But I'm really just getting into what I think of these plans. And Addison might be a bit more, scheme fitty wise, but yeah.
Well, last year in the first round of the NFL draft, there were a lot of wide receivers taken. There were 6 wide receivers taken. No running backs, 1 quarterback, and no tight ends. So there were 7 fantasy relevant players taken. Drake London, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Jameson Williams, Jahan Dotson, Treylon Burks, and then Kenny Pickett. So 7 fantasy relevant players last year in the first round. This year, there are going to be more. They're going to be more.
We're doubling it.
How many? Told, and again, it's just I don't do draft analysis because I don't know. It's a team thing. It's an NFL real football thing. But I've been told to expect less draft capital spent on wide receiver at least. Like there's going to be less in the first round.
Well, last year there were 6, which is a lot. This year,
that wasn't
not many good free agent wide receivers either.
That is a part. Yeah, like what is it? DJ Chubb's going to get a bag or something.
To me,
I heard someone say that.
To me, I think this year there's going to be at least 3 wide receivers taken in the first round. It's very rarely only 3. It's usually 4 or 5. Is most years I think it's 4 or 5 wide receivers taken in the first. I think this year it'll be 4. It'll be Addison, JSN, and Quentin Johnston. And then probably 1 other will slip in there. Not sure who that's going to be yet. There's going to be a riser after the combine. I think someone's going to slip in at the end. I do think Kansas City is a possibility with 30th. Buffalo at 27th. Dallas as well. There's the Giants, of course. If JSN is gone by then, they could pick a different receiver. There's quite a few teams at the bottom of the order who could be interested in a wide receiver in the first round. So I do think a 4th one will get in there. I think the 4 quarterbacks will be in the first round as well. Anthony Richardson is the one who I think has the most range of outcomes, but I don't see him. I mean, if I'm looking at the board, really, I just don't see him getting that far down. I mean, Tennessee at 11, I think they would even consider. I don't see him getting much past that. Washington at 16 as well. As like an absolute floor. And then running back will be probably just Bijan Robinson. Maybe Jahmyr Gibbs will sneak into the end, but I doubt it. I think he's going to be in round 2. And then for tight end, Michael Mayer is definitely going to be in the first round, almost 100%. And
I've had first round buzz for a couple of tight ends.
I have as well. But there's going to be at least, so that's 4 quarterbacks for sure, a tight end for sure, minimum 3 receivers. So that's 8 at a minimum. It's probably going to be more like 10 or 11. So it's going to be a busier first round for fantasy this year than it was last year.
I agree.
For sure. And this class is deeper than last. It's deeper. The top is, I think, slightly disappointing off of what we had thought it was going to be. Not the very top. Obviously, Bijan Robinson is great. And Bryce Young and CJ Stroud are still great. But after that, I think it's slightly, the top tier is slightly smaller than we thought, but it's a very deep class, deeper than last year. Okay. A strong contender with Eckler and Kamara as my top 2 backs. What would you want in return to move them, or are they holds for a contender?
Tyler, I know you want to talk about Kamara.
Well, Kamara is washed. I mean, Kamara is washed. I mean, he looks terrible. He looked terrible the whole year. I mean, he really looked bad. So Eckler is not washed. I mean, Eckler looked great. I mean, he was a running back 1 overall. He was great. So in a way, these are different. But also, Eckler, you can maybe get a return. Kamara, I don't know. Suspension also hurts Kamara. I don't know. I mean,
if you could get a high second, I'd take it and run for Kamara.
Yeah, so would I.
Yeah, Kamara is a guy that I agree with you. I think he's pretty washed up. And even from a fantasy perspective, he had a few good games down the stretch, but he was really unreliable. So he's not a guy that I would be excited about counting on as my RB2 on a contending team. Eckler, if you're like a true contender, and by that I mean like you have one of the top 3 chances in your league to win the title, I would hold Eckler. If you're a pretender, meaning you're in the middle of the pack, sell him because you can still get a return, but not for probably a whole lot longer. But I think in any scenario, I'm looking to sell Kamara. It doesn't matter what my team's chances are.
Yeah, I agree with that on Kamara. He, like Tyler likes to say, he kind of just looked washed, and I would try to get out from underneath that. But Austin Eckler, he's got young legs for his age. I know he's 27, but he wasn't getting a lot of carries early in his career. He got just over 200 carries the last 2 years, and I mean that's not even a lot for a running back. And he was the running back 1 and 2 in PPR leagues respectively the last 2 years. In this previous season, over 100 catches, 127 targets. Now, we might see a decrease in that just because Mike Williams and Keenan Allen were out for the large majority of the year. But this guy, in my opinion, he's locked in for over 90 targets with Justin Herbert in a good offense. Yeah, he's going to be a top 5 running back again next season. So I definitely want to hold on to Eckler.
The new offensive coordinator for Eckler is going to be interesting too. I think Lombardi had them throwing a ridiculous amount of checkdowns, low ADOT. I think that for Herbert's sake, I hope that that's different and better this year, which might mean a little bit less for Eckler, but he's certainly still a top fantasy running back. I agree with you.
So don't look. How many receptions do you think Austin Eckler had this year?
Over 100.
107.
Did you just
That's
say
a
that,
lot.
Josh?
Yeah, I did.
That's insane.
But no, it really is. It's crazy. And it's probably going to decrease next season for everything we were just talking about here. But, if he's getting 70, 80 catches, that's still awesome. That's still going to be one of the top running backs. And he's going to get rushing work too. So, yeah, Eckler's going to be valuable.
I agree that he looks good. Like from what you said about fresh legs and not looking washed. I mean, you and Tyler both commented on that. I agree. He still looks like he's playing at a high level, and he's not somebody that I think is just going to fall off a cliff next year. But his value, the older he gets, the less trade value he's going to have. And so that's why I say, like, if you're not a real contender,
exactly.
if you're a pretender and you can still get I wouldn't sell him low. I wouldn't sell him just to sell him, just to get him off your roster. But if you could get a return that he's worth, and you're not really a contender, I would consider that. But if you're a top 3 team in your league, I would keep him.
But Matt, what happens if I have a pretender with Eckler, but my league is offering a championship title belt?
Oh,
exactly.
That matters.
That's my
yeah. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about the belt.
Go for the belt. Right?
All right, fine.
I mean, if you're stuck in the middle, you could buy to get into that true contender status, or you could sell your old guys and go for that. But don't stay stuck in the middle and just hope that Eckler gets you there, because then you have an old player and nothing to show for it. So,
well, the most famous quote that I can come up with in this moment is that hope is not a strategy.
See, I thought you were going to say if you ain't first, you're last.
No, I wouldn't say it.
You can't say that in Dynasty. You can't.
That's too nice.
Ricky Bobby, man. If you ain't first,
that's too nice. I would definitely say it differently. Second place is just the first loser.
Second place is
come on, I'm not that nice.
Because if you ain't first and you're not last, then you also don't have that top draft pick.
Yeah.
So second place is not where you want to be.
Yeah, I don't agree with this. I don't think Hooker has any case at all.
It's that age.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
Hooker was a guy that I liked as like a potential, like you said, QB3 type of range before the ACL injury. I think his age combined with the fact that he has to miss probably his whole rookie season, that's tough for NFL teams. He's going to be 27 by the time he can actually play for an NFL team, something in that
26,
range. So,
but
26. Yeah. So yeah, it was unfortunate because he has good size, good arm talent, good mobility. He's a guy that I'd liked as a sleeper until the injury, but now I'm pretty much out on him.
What about Tanner McKee? Tell me something about him.
No.
He's not good at football.
I appreciate that. Yeah. He
played in the Pac-12.
He was getting some draft buzz. I assume by your reaction that you think that draft buzz is unwarranted.
I have not heard anything positive about Tanner McKee. I'm going to be honest. I live on the East Coast. I don't stay up and watch a lot of Pac-12 games. I actually heard some folks, there was a receiver, Michael Wilson, I think is his name, that was showing out.
I mean, this article right here says one quarterback the Panthers should target in each round. It says second round they could look at Tanner McKee.
I thought you were about to say ninth overall.
No, that's what it says right here. It says so. That's
the first draft buzz that I've heard about him, period.
It was written today.
Okay.
So, there you go. It's from today. So
I might have my teams mixed up. There was Michael Wilson, I believe, is the wide receiver who showed out at the Senior Bowl this week.
I don't know who that is.
Commented on Twitter that Tanner McKee did a good job hiding Michael Wilson from us.
Yeah. So what you're saying is I should not spend more time looking into Tanner McKee. That's what it sounds like.
Probably not.
Okay. Well, this is why we're here.
I would say he's definitely a top 10 quarterback, rookie quarterback coming in.
Yeah. That sounds about right.
High praise.
That doesn't mean anything, by the way.
Yeah, I would give. I guess I would give Levis and Richardson first round grades, but that's just because quarterbacks for NFL teams, if you hit on them, are so important. But I don't know if I would spend. If you're in the top 10 in the NFL draft, there are superstar players potentially available. I don't know if I would spend that kind of capital to get them. But if they fall, I might be more interested. I do think that there is one team. I have a couple of teams. Well, a couple of teams makes sense. Washington at 16 and Tampa Bay at 19 would be the ones that I would look at as actually being in the right value range for these two, but they'll be gone before that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm staring at the very real possibility that my Carolina Panthers might take this guy Will Levis that I've spent half the show poo-pooing on.
Oh yeah, no, it's. But actually,
at that point, I'm just like
the last
praying that I'm
mock
wrong
draft
about him.
I saw had them taking Quentin Johnston, which is even better, right?
Yeah,
No, you need a free DJ
at 9. That's crazy, right? I mean, I don't. Am I missing something? No, right? I don't think so. I don't see it. I don't get it.
I don't want the Ravens to draft him because, like, I'm feeling another Rashad Bateman coming on. And I know Quentin Johnston's probably has even more potential than Rashad Bateman ever had, but it's just a raw size speed prospect. I think he probably does. But I don't, I'd be nervous. And I think it's a possibility that the Ravens end up with him.
I think he'll be long gone.
Okay, good. Thank God.
I think you're good.
Okay.
I think you're
even
good.
though he's that is the kind of like a big, tall, fast receiver would be really good on the Ravens, I think, but I'm not buying it.
He won't make it that far.
Okay.
I don't think he's going to make it out of the top 15. To be honest with you. Peter, this is for you.
Hell yeah. Oh, hello.
Sorry, what did I miss? I tried updating my R-square testing, and it's right.
You missed that people are excited for you rolling your own things.
Hey, I've left
things.
He's very excited to see you.
I'm trying to close the feet, I swear. I'm happy to see him too. Hey, Lefty.
Oh. All right, let's see.
Sorry, I tried updating my scoring.
Got a little lag there.
So I was interested.
Technology, I hate it.
Yeah.
I know.
What would you trade for?
Looking to trade.
You can only start 4 wide receivers. You're looking to trade for 101. I mean, I'm fine trading any of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
I would have a hard time trading AJ Brown or CD, but
I wouldn't.
I would. Now, 101, the value return that you're getting as far as like the hype right now, because if you're doing startup ADP right now, Bijan is a borderline first-round startup pick. And he's going in the same range as guys like AJ Brown and CD. So I think that's probably what it would take to get him. It's hard to trade a young, proven stud for a guy who hasn't played a snap. But I love Bijan too, so I don't know. It makes sense. I guess if you can't start all of these guys, and you have a need at running back, and you're trying to contend, I think it makes sense. I think the value is probably about even with guys like AJ and CD.
I agree with everything you just said. I kind of put those guys in a tier. So I guess to answer your question, it'd be start with Cooper Kupp, then Garrett Wilson or Amon-Ra St. Brown, then Waddle. And if you have to, and you really want a running back, Bijan, I'd be willing to trade CD or AJ Brown, but I'd rather not.
Yeah, I probably would even put Waddle in the tier with those two guys.
Yeah, and Waddle is definitely the third that comes after AJ Brown, CD Lamb, then Waddle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with everything you said.
Yeah.
Care to comment?
Would you consider like combining Cooper Kupp with? I don't want to get rid of Garrett Wilson, but Cooper Kupp and Garrett Wilson for 101.
It's too much.
Is that too much? Yeah,
a little bit.
We care to comment on this?
What the dog gene looks like under a microscope.
You got that dog in him.
Hey, I like it.
I am not watching film while simultaneously.
Whoa!
You guys have my undivided attention.
Wow.
Yeah.
JC, I know JC. JC's a good guy, so I appreciate the love, man.
Oh, that sound. Oh, that sound just it got me excited.
What sound?
I'm just
I heard
I'm just peeing under the desk. Calm down.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
no.
are you
I don't stand up. You see, I've got
to.
No, then I'd be over the desk. No, I don't leave this chair. You see, so I gotta find ways around.
There's a reason.
Hey, FF Lefty. Sorry, I was trying to update my R² testing while I was doing it, and it turns out that's too much.
Not a good idea.
System.
He was so happy to see you.
And then it took about 20 minutes to close out of it. Hey, how you doing? What are we talking about?
Now we're moving on to this one.
Have we left quarterbacks, please, for the love of God?
Oh yeah.
Well, this one is not quarterbacks. What about this one?
109 and Drake London for Cup. No, man, I got Cup like for a late first in a round. Like Cooper Cup's value.
London is worth the 109 is not on the right side.
Drake
he's
London
barely a top 24 wide receiver right now. The reason he's interesting to trade for is because he's so low. London plus, you should be adding at least a first round pick to Cup to get Drake London in Dynasty right now. And if that's not what your league manager is, that's cool. But like, don't trade for Cup at this value.
Reversed, it's not far off. I think Cup and 109 is worth slightly more than London, but it's close.
Yeah. I'm right there with you, Tyler. I think it's a little much if you switch it up, but
it's a little much. It's definitely a little much.
If you're rebuilding, well, you're giving up a first round pick. So
no. But this trade makes no sense as written. It's the 109 and Drake London very easily. Drake London is a player I believe in. I mean, he had a great profile coming in. I mean, he did. And then he was drafted high in the NFL draft. And then as a rookie, despite being in a horrible offense, actually produced to a relative level of our liking. So based on all those things, I'm pretty in on him. He's still 22. I mean, he has a 2001 birthday, I believe. So there's really nothing for me to be out on him for.
I like Drake London a lot. I mean, he's a guy too that had a reputation for being like, he's tall, and so it's like, is he just a contested catch guy? Can he separate? He absolutely can. He's a really good route runner.
He translated well.
Yeah, he's a guy that I'm excited about long term, and I definitely wouldn't add a first to get Cup for sure. I mean, Cup can win you your league for the next 2 years, maybe, but
I will say that if London did enough, Burks did enough, and I hate that. I usually look for ways to siphon down the pool, but in fact, like apart from the fact London showed up early and Burks showed up late, like they both crossed similar target share per game thresholds, targets per route run thresholds, yards per route run thresholds. So unfortunately, they still both remain in the conversation. I said unfortunately again because I would like it just to be one guy I love, and Drake London tends to have an ADP pretty close to Wilson and pretty close to Olave as well, which makes Burks the one I'm mostly targeting if I'm targeting one. But still, yeah, they all did pretty well, unfortunately. I also think like Garrett Wilson and Olave did great. Don't get me wrong, they deserve their ADP, but I think we saw their ceilings year one as well. The top 24 wide receivers with upside. I don't believe either of them going to turn into Chris Godwin, who's that rare profile, who's that good at doing that, that's going to be top 12 regularly. And so I actually think it happens every year, but there's a counter this draft is good movement right now. 2023 is no longer any good.
There always is every year.
Yeah, there is. Especially when it's been and it was strongly overhyped for 2 years. Like 2022 picks were undervalued, despite the fact there's more good hits in this class than most classes, and it's probably going to look that way for a while. But I think something people might be missing in the listen to the hype is this class has the easier to identify and separate out, and may well have more of those top 12 hits. Not that, again, don't undervalue Olave, they can easily actually finish in the top 12, but in terms of being your wide receiver one on a fantasy team for multiple years, I think this class has got a better case for make. Like it's a Hopkins, Keenan Allen class where there's only two, but two really, really good ones kind of a thing. Right now, we think that's Addison and JSN, but again, that wasn't always the case we don't know exactly. That's our best guess right now. But I think that might be getting missed in is this a good or a bad class? It's I think it's getting missed. Like sometimes it's good to know exactly who the players are earlier. And if they hit, I think they have more consistently high ceilings. And I think that's important.
Olave was a top 12 wide receiver, wasn't he, this year?
Yeah, that's what I mean. You can actually finish in the top. Again, both did really well. Yeah.
Wilson, I think I don't know that we saw Wilson's ceiling because there were so many games with Zach Wilson where that offense was anemic and that Garrett Wilson had the blow up games when Zach Wilson wasn't at quarterback.
It's actually pretty interesting that a lot of good tape analysts will point out Garrett Wilson's talent wise, and I fully believe it. Like Zach Reed's in on it too, and he definitely overperformed in college and in the NFL more than you might expect on like a per target, per attempt, over sample thresholds. Definitely agree with you. So maybe that's the best case to be someone like Godwin, who's just got it, got in it. But he's also on the Jets, so I'll squint. And again, I'm not arguing talent or translation.
Yeah. I don't know when that
if you want
better, but
like they'll have a
put it in very base terms. If you're looking to put it in very base terms, like these things don't work, but to simplify matters, if you're looking for Jefferson and Chase, it's not Olave and Wilson. Those aren't the archetypes of those two players. This is just where my head's up. And again, I'm an idiot in a basement. Disagree if you. This is how I simplify it for myself. The best case for that last year was London and Burks. Both, like I say, did pretty well, but we still have more questions. This year, you have two prospects at the top of the class. Could easily be, in fact, they profile in terms of role in college close to Jefferson and actually Chase Addison closest. Profiles closer to Amon-Ra St. Brown, but still that consistent high upside. The wide receiver one on a fantasy team, that top 12 dynasty ADP, because he's only 23 and he's going to do it forever. Again, neither are Chase or Jefferson. We don't get those regularly. That's why we value them. But anyway, so that's why
Garrett Wilson
breaking out to me.
The fact that Garrett Wilson had 147 targets as a rookie is a very, very good sign. That's a lot.
Even when he had it's not like he needs like a superstar quarterback. He just needs not Zach Wilson, right? Like when it was Joe Flacco and Mike White, Garrett Wilson was fine. When it was Zach Wilson, nobody was fine.
Like 147 targets as a rookie is more than Justin Jefferson. It's
you see the kind of nonsense that kind of target, that's better than Jefferson. But
it is.
One
number
more
of
game,
targets.
And Justin Jefferson didn't play the first three games. It was a rookie year, if I remember. But that's still incredibly impressive.
No, I mean he played. In a way, it's actually more. One of the reasons I was so impressed with Garrett Wilson was because he had a role from the start.
Yeah. But again, let's follow through your logic earlier. Russell Wilson, no. Robert Woods, he played every game. He got every opportunity. There you go. I mean, they're great. We saw what they do. That's like game planning. And if we get a quarterback, and if he's suddenly better with a suddenly better quarterback, like we saw, and they were great. Let's just like what they did,
I'd love to
think
see.
If there's mystery to it, it's Burks and Wilson, London, because of missed time. And again, Wilson's awesome. If you're rostering them, don't give them away because they're not Burks or London, obviously. But again, the way I simplify it for myself, because I can overcomplicate things for myself way too often, is if they got all the targets and played all the games and did great, then we just saw what they do when they do great. Let's not hope for a couple more touchdowns so they get slightly better. That's where the upside comes from at that point.
I will say that I don't think Garrett Wilson is going to be Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase. I think his upside is to be what CeeDee Lamb is worth now.
Yeah.
More or less. That's his upside.
And which is
a lot. Yeah. But I think that's the upside. Justin Jefferson.
Sorry, I can see Matt scowling at me from the corner, and I get it.
I'm
Wilson
not
was
scowling
just
at you.
seriously impressive, and I completely will give it up. I thought Olave was slightly better than Wilson. I like Burks better than both. And the tape grinders were just the tape grinders I talked to, both you yourself just now, and also Zach, were all over him. And fair play, he's got the goods. So yeah, got to give that credit.
So Peter, you're still very in on Treylon Burks, right? It sounds like you want to. He sounds like a big buy to you because it sounds like you kind of lump him in with these other guys, and he's nowhere near them. I would say
he is a big buy.
Yeah.
He is a
no.
big
I love Treylon Burks coming into the year.
He's still an expensive. That's the thing. He's falling into a range where you can also get safer floors. He's there with Marcus Brown, perpetually underrated, and some other players that are still mid-career, about to enter their peak career. And so he's a difficult buy. There's risk to it, is what I've been telling people on the Dynasty grind. It's like, don't do it if you're building, because it can turn out like, same with London. Like, he did great early in the season. Just remember that. As for Burks, like, when he wasn't recovering from an injury or actively getting injured, he did that the same thing. So you just have to allow that context. Ideally, it's all Tyler Boyd, after Tyler Boyd's rookie season, which was a good season. And again, more of a not Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase profile, but he dropped by 10 rounds that first year after his rookie season. And that was the big buy, and they don't happen so much. Like, again, ADP is fairly smart. No one's like, oh, I'll give him to you for a second. If that happens, like, I'll cry. Like, cry while accepting it, just to make them feel good. But yeah, I think so. But you've got to be on a team where it's an awkward buy, because again, you can't accept the risk if you're not a competitive team. And if you're a competitive team, your late first round pick is definitely someone I'd send for Treylon Burks. Mm-hmm. That's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah. That makes sense.
This is not all that great. Like,
getting
Trevor Lawrence with the 106 and 1 QB is not all that great. Honestly.
Not all that great.
Actually, it's bad. I would prefer the 106.
Yeah, I think Trevor Lawrence is probably worth more towards like a early second round pick, not a first round pick in a 1 quarterback league.
I think he's worth the late first and 1 QB, but not the 106.
Well, and the whole conversation about can you quarterback was assuming Superflex, right? They're very hard to acquire, and Superflex was the discussion. 1 quarterback, you can buy a quarterback. I mean, they're easy to acquire.
Yeah, they're easy to acquire.
It's not a shallow position. So, yeah, it's a whole different conversation with Superflex.
I like the idea, though. It's good to try and get an edge at quarterback, because it's such, like, I mean, it's like when late round QB discovered that we're all idiots about QB, and now we all do that instead. Like, there is, like, Zach Reed's been talking about an edge in top 5 quarterbacks and 1 QB, because, Josh Allen, Mahomes, they actually kind of matter.
They're all undervalued, actually. I have all of them ranked higher.
Right?
Allen, Mahomes, Hurts, Burrow, Herbert, Fields, Lamar, Lawrence, a little bit, not quite as much. I have them all valued higher than their current 1 QB ADP. It's just that paying the 106 is not cheap. It's not cheap.
It's right on that, especially this year. I think there's easily 5 prospects like this is a loss, but it depends how your order goes. If that's Quentin Johnson, Josh Downs, even like the running back 3, I think either Charbonnet or Sean Tucker, there's going to be a running back in an interesting landing spot with a decent profile. So you've probably given up a little bit too much. But it also feels like Lawrence is your guy. Like, no one pays for a quarterback in a 1 QB. And if so feel your feels, Lawrence has definitely proved himself this year. Like,
he looked really good.
He's
and
pretty
if he
good.
Takes the next step into being the next Patrick Mahomes or what. It was a good trade in the end. So right now it seems like an overpay.
Just for the record, there is no next Patrick Mahomes. That doesn't
no next anyone.
I just meant the next top 5 next quarterback to enter the top 5 quarterbacks. Then it's a good trade. I didn't mean Patrick Mahomes exactly.
Yeah. That doesn't exist.
Next guy to transcend into the elite.
No, I really do think that at the end of Patrick Mahomes' career, we'll be talking about him as, maybe not having won the most Super Bowls of any quarterback ever, but as the best quarterback ever.
Tom Brady? No, sorry. Yeah. No one's anyone, to be fair. Comps are valuable. Like, again, Jetpack Galileo. It sounds like I only know 3 people, but again, he's big into comps, and I actually get it. One, it does an easy job simplifying things, and if you get them right, it can be really helpful. But yeah. I don't think he has top 5. I don't think he has that level of difference maker in him. Because I tend to believe what I see. I think he's a top 12 quarterback. I think you're solid. I think you're good. Don't think you got any questions. And he's going to put up games where you're like, I'm glad I did this. Because, that running back 3, that wide receiver 3, it could bust. We don't get these things right. At least you got something that I appreciate that.
What is the 101 worth in rebuild?
You don't have it. Or if you're trying to buy it, you don't have it.
Well, he has it. And he doesn't want to pick Bijan.
Anything you want. Anything. pick
I
the
said,
player
I
you
said someone's
want.
firstborn. Someone's firstborn child for the 101.
And if they won't give it
I
to
like
you,
where your
that's
head's at.
okay. Yeah.
It's
going right
probably
nowadays, right?
the smart information's to wait as long as you can, because it's just going to keep gaining value.
Yeah.
I mean, he's already in the stratosphere. He gets one of those like dynamite landing spots, the good old line. Like, you could ask whatever you
Doesn't
want.
matter.
Yeah.
This is a
And I'm not a running back guy. Like, this is just the Saquon Barkley, the Ezekiel Elliott, and not the Christian McCaffrey path, because we didn't know. Well, we didn't know it certainly. But, like, just let him play his first season if they won't give you what you want now, and then they'll give you what you want.
Yeah, I mean, the kind of offer I would want would be, like, so extreme. I don't know if it would even really be possible.
I mean, there are offers. If you're building and you can get the value, it's a good idea to trade now. That's what I'm saying. Like, the only reason to trade it is if you're not, you don't need a running back, or the running back one in Dynasty, which I assume means you're not trying to win, or you don't think you're less likely to win. But it's about the value, not what you get, if you know what I mean, at that point. So 3 first-round picks is a common thing I go to. No one's worth more than 3 first-round picks. I mean, that's just generic, because picks aren't worth the same thing in every league. You have to play your league, Cameron. So it is what it is. But yeah, like, you should be able to get in the Jamar Chase tier easy. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, your top 5 prospects, you want that player. And if you have to add a second because they're not sure and you're happier doing that, then fine. But in general, 3 first-round picks is a good arbitrary thing.
And they'd have to be 3 good first-round picks. Like, I don't want, like...
That's
110, 111, 112.
110, 111, and
I
That's
think
why
you'd
it's generic. You can't really... There's no exact current...
Yeah.
But yeah.
I think you're probably better off with a player in there. Like, you could
It's
have...
a sharp question.
Yeah.
Because I think most people who have the 101 are going to be not just one running back away from contending. And they aren't going to want to part with him because he's this shiny new thing that everybody's so excited about. But I actually think that, like, if you can get the return that he's worth, which is like first-round startup type players, and you can get that in a rebuild, get a wide receiver or a quarterback or somebody with more longevity, I think that's a really smart, sharp thing to do for a rebuilding team that most people are not even going to consider doing, because they're going to be like, it's Bijan. I'm not trading the 101, but this is a good thought process.
It's really good thought process. And I also think it's a good question, but my answers are always going to come down to, or what I've tried to get better at is admitting it's about you and your league. Like, if in your league trades are fairly common, then I would say, listen to Dynasty Out. What I would see Dynasty Outhouse do with this is trade to the 102, then the 103, and then he'd trade those for a couple more picks, and he'd end the draft somehow with a roster that's going to kick my team's ass. Like, that's what he would do, cascade trading. Me, I'm going to go pick my top 5 guys. I'm going to send what I think are reasonable offers that are going to best improve my team if I'm building. I'm going to send them. If I don't get it, I'm going to get Bijan. I'm going to roll the dice. I'm going to see if you're willing to do it as he starts to get drafted and get played, because I'm not as strong a trader, and my leagues tend not to trade as heavily as Dynasty Outhouse leagues. So you've kind of got to game theory it out based on your experience, your skills, and also your league a little bit. That's why I just default to the generic get in the top 5 category. If you're getting a player, it has to be a player you know's good. Like, not you think's good, because I've got those guys too, don't get me wrong. But like, you'd ask Tyler, you'd ask Matt, and we'd all be like, oh yeah, AJ Brown, he's a little older, but yeah, definitely top 12 Dynasty wide receiver, cool. And something else, like something good.
Yeah, I mean,
like, if you're trading something like Bijan Robinson 101, you want to know you've definitely improved. You don't want to take the risk. That would be the purpose of trading it away, to get out that small risk that he gets injured or he falls in the draft, or we all got him wrong, or everyone got him wrong, because literally everyone. So you're trying to mitigate risk while still keeping all that value. That's a good way of thinking about it too.
Garrett Wilson and a 24 first?
And a 1 QB? No.
That's an example that I had in my mind already, Tyler. That's freaking nuts that you said that. Freaking nuts, actually. I was gonna post that, but yeah, I think that's about
I mean, you might be able to get more. But
yeah.
Like, I think you probably should be able to get more.
You should try.
For Bijan. And I agree with what somebody said earlier that like if somebody's not willing to pay what he's worth now, just draft him and let him start to play, because when people see it, it's like Brees
People have
Hall.
been waiting 2 years for Bijan Robinson.
Brees Hall.
Also, just think it through in your head, like Walker and ETN, like top 5, top 6, top 7. I think Walker is currently like the top 2 running back. It's because they're the 2 young, good guys without injuries. That's it. We have waited forever for a new revelation at running back, and it's still Barkley, and it's still CMC. This is the Zeke year. This is the Barkley year. And like, I literally saw J. Mike Chet flip Saquon Barkley after his first year for like 3 first-round picks and like a top 12 dynasty wide receiver. Like the thirst was incredible. It's like, oh, finally another good young running back. Awesome. And not like good, not like ETN and Walker, who are both excellent, but like generational. And that's what we expect from Bijan.
Yeah. I had a league last year where Brees, I had 101, and the people that were sending me offers during the draft for Brees Hall, it was like, get out of here. That's garbage, But then like a few games, obviously this is before the ACL tear, but a few games into his NFL career, all of a sudden the offers are getting much better because it's not this like unproven guy that's never played a snap. It's like, oh, he is this young and he's killing it.
It proves like it for the person that's buying him. Yeah, it's just like, oh, I've seen it now, and now I want it.
What? It's also just a running, like every now and again you get an Odell Beckham who does the catch and everyone's like, oh, I need to change my pants. But running back is just a position that leads to it. Because we all try and be nerdy and low T and smart and stuff. But then you see someone just run over a dude and you're like, I want that guy. I want that guy on my team right now. Because it's such an impressive position. Like you just, and we remember Derrick Henry that first year. And it took a while for Derrick Henry to really become Derrick Henry. But that, it wasn't Derrick Henry. It was another Titans running back who just literally was running down the field, and there was a safety nearby, and he just waved him towards him. I think it was Henry. It was like, I'm gonna knock you down too. And like,
are you talking about against the Ravens? The stiff arm on Earl Thomas?
This was a couple years ago. No, this was just a couple years. I'm pretty sure it was Henry. Like he'd broken through the line, and there was a DB, and he was just like, "You too," and just called him over. And
I think it was against the Ravens like 3 years ago, and he did it to Earl Thomas. I think that's maybe what you're describing.
It has been a while since we've seen a running back to make us go, and that's what we expect. Again, there's always risk. That's what you'd be trying to trade away. That slight risk. But that's what we expect. We expect that moment. Just oh wow, I want that. Everyone wants that guy on their team. Yeah, pretty sure.
What do we think of?
Sorry, I'm just talking and talking. You should feel free to move on. Me and Matt over here, and we're just going to talk about it a while.
Thank you. You're
what do you think of the 2023 quarterbacks compared to 2024?
I'm going to take a break because I've just been talking nonstop for a while, but I did have something I wanted to say about if you wanted to get quarterbacks in Superflex, I think you should trade for 25 picks, or even 24 would be a really great year to target. Like if that's a thirst in your leagues right now, smart move is to get some discounted future picks, especially in 2024, because this year some guys took some extra eligibility. Cavis May was explaining to me, and actually spoke specifically because of the licensing deals that are available now. Some of the best quarterbacks are coming out next year. Not that Young and Stroud aren't 2 of them, to be fair, but and that might be an underrated play. There's even a couple in 25 if you really get into the Devy circles. So if quarterbacks where it's at, it's always best. If you know what you need to target, it's always best to do it as smartly as far in advance as you can. Like trading for 25 picks is typically bad, but if you're building and quarterbacks the need, the best values you're going to find and the best difference makers might be to try and trade at 24 or even 25. Yeah, I was going to say that. Now I'll shut up. I promise.
I mean, that EA game is coming out. They're coming out with a college football game. Who knows what the brand endorsement deals are going to be like for that? Maybe they're going to be really juicy coming out of EA's pockets. You never know. So this is smart down the line.
It was a really unique situation where they got that extra year of eligibility because of COVID and stuff. And so like it might, like degenerates, that might be one of those small edges. They just think it's all about the money. No, they actually got this extra year of eligibility. They might feel like they need an extra year or want an extra year in college because college is pretty fun. And last year sucked for a lot of kids in college. So, yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
I would
All
take
right, let's
over.
let's
any
go
guy.
to.
Yeah.
But
We're
Drake
gonna
wins.
go to a little bit of more rapid fire because I'm trying to keep these shows closer to 90 minutes. You know, I've definitely gotten some feet.
Promise.
No. I've definitely
Any minute now, I'm gonna shut up because
I've definitely got.
Look, we talked about
You're
it
good.
earlier. Just
No,
and
no,
I'm
I've
like,
definitely
talk,
gotten some
talk, talk.
feedback. I've definitely gotten some feedback from some people, a lot of my audience who feels like, you know, there's 2.5 hours, like it's too long. Like if it's 90 minutes, they can like actually watch the whole thing. So, you know, and now that I'm doing both shows on my own channel, like I'm going to try to keep both of them around 90 minutes. So we're going to go a little bit more quickly, but yes, this is very true. I believe. Let's get a quick opinion on this trade for Nicholas. Would you give up the 108, 110 Elijah Moore and Bailey Zappi for the 104, 201, and 25 third?
Yeah.
Yes.
I think I would take the 104.
I want that premium pick.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. 110 to 201, you're barely moving back. So
yeah,
4 spots.
I just think the 104 is so much better.
Yeah, you're moving up 4 spots for Elijah Moore, basically, right? I mean, yeah, do it.
Let's rank these players. It's really easy. Well, I mean, Burks is first.
It's really easy after one.
But what about Elijah Moore and Gabriel Davis?
But don't forget about Chase Claypool.
I mean, we all like Treylon Burks, right? Does anyone not
Treylon
like
Burks.
Treylon Burks?
Yeah, he's the top for sure.
Does anyone like Chase Claypool? Because he's just dead to me.
No.
Thinking
The
about it.
Bears will add more weapons. I mean, he might have
Really
a
my
okay
pondering
year,
stage.
He's
but
dead
it's
to
not
me,
gonna be a top
essentially.
24.
So, what about the other two, though? Elijah Moore and Gabe Davis. Davis to me is kind of blah.
I'm
I'd
pretty
rather just take the shot on Elijah Moore.
I'd rather have Elijah Moore than Gabe Davis, too. I mean, Gabe Davis did more for you this year. If you had to start somebody, you felt better about Gabe Davis, but Elijah Moore at least has a chance to be something long-term, whereas I think Gabe Davis is on the path to getting replaced. So
on these two different, Gabe Davis, you just play the waves. Like when he's worth a first, you trade him. When he's not, you just hold him. He's like one of the best wide receiver threes. He's like McCall Hardman heyday, but it's been longer and probably a little better than McCall Hardman got. So yeah, just wait till he's worth a first again because he's gonna have one of those games. And if not, if it doesn't, like he's a great plug-in. He's a great flex play when you need it. Elijah Moore is trading significantly less. I mean, it's been a while since I checked both, but like I get him for like a second round pick 2 years
Their
out.
ADPs are similar.
6 months ago, so
their ADPs are 4 picks apart. So
it might be who's holding him. The Elijah Moore guy is a nerd who held him from his rookie season. Is now like, damn it, Pierre Howdy screwed me again, and they're giving him away. Whereas Gabe Davis is like, I'm gonna see another 3 touchdown game in a minute, so I'll wait. But yeah. That's the way I play it. Gabe Davis, I'm waiting for a first. Elijah Moore, I'm actively buying at a second.
Yeah. Everything that could go wrong for Elijah Moore this year did go wrong. It can only go up, right?
I hate. Yeah, there's always that. Yeah, I guess.
The problem for Elijah Moore is he now has like one of those alpha wide receiver ones who like is so good that he like kind of stamps on everyone else, which means that Elijah Moore needs not just any quarterback, but a really good quarterback in order to be fantasy relevant. Like Mike White won't cut it. You know, like even Derek Carr. Is that good enough with Garrett Wilson there to also have Elijah Moore be relevant?
I mean, I don't know. Maybe. Derek Carr has supported 2 top 24 wide receivers before now.
He's done it before.
Has actively done it for 3 years straight. I mean, you need a good quarterback. You don't need Mahomes. That's all I'm saying.
You don't need Mahomes. I do wonder. I think Garrett Wilson for me has more upside than that stage of his career, Amari Cooper or Michael Crabtree back then. So I am concerned, even with Derek Carr, that the upside for Elijah Moore is like wide receiver 25 to 30. That's just not exciting. And the thing that scares me the most is if they strike out at all. If somehow they get nobody. They get neither of these two, and they just end up with Jimmy Garoppolo, then I'm very uninterested in Elijah Moore.
Again, though, it's like the 205. Yeah, I'm okay. I think top 30 wide receiver is a pretty good price for that. But rookies are fun. Shiny new boats. It's Cool.
I think I'd prefer shiny new toy over Elijah Moore and Gabe Davis. Chase Claypool is dead to me, and Treylon Burks is a strong buy, like we talked about earlier. I think we are all in on Treylon Burks.
Yeah.
All right, I'll just take this one for a sec. Fields 111, 112, 307, and Isaiah Likely for Josh Allen, Tyler Higbee, and 24 third. I always say those top quarterbacks are undervalued, especially someone like Josh Allen. Does feel kind of, you had Justin Fields. This probably wouldn't have been the way I used my capital, but there are worse things than this.
When I first read it, I thought it was super flex. I was like, awesome, awesome.
Yeah, if it's super flex, it's Josh Allen easily.
Yeah.
But not.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
It's not really what I would do. It's not what I would.
Because Justin Fields has the upside to be the number one quarterback overall in any given season. So yeah, I'm with you.
Because Higbee and thirds and all that is a wash.
That's
so
all.
really, it's Fields and 112 for Josh Allen, and
yeah, it's okay.
I love it.
I like Fields though. I
think it's fair. I think it's fair.
It seems about right value wise.
I love it. Yeah. Good job.
FF Lefty says, "Don't look at Tanner McKee."
Jake Hanna is actually kind of interesting, but I
will confess I am not familiar with him.
More interested in Jake Hainer than Tanner McKee.
Pretty accurate.
I'm going to have to look into him then because I don't really know anything.
Yeah, one of the two starters in the Senior Bowl, and he had an okay game. He was talked up a lot in practice last week with Senior Bowl stuff.
I think it's actually pretty interesting.
Well, I'll have to look into that.
As far as that goes.
I gave the 302 and 306 for James Conner. I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, it's 2/3. I don't love James Conner, but again, younger legs, even though he does tend to get injured, he doesn't have a ton of carries.
James Conner's made a class.
I like the process here. He's planning to flip him later. And that's fine. When he starts
the Cardinals are a team I have seen mocked running backs before, though.
I think the only running back I've been interested in around here is the one you came up with on the show, Tyler. It's Rashad White is weirdly low.
Rashad White. I mean, I would much rather have Rashad White.
Which is probably a second-round pick, but yeah.
But this mock draft has Zach Charbonnet going to the Cardinals, and then I think the James Conner experience will be coming to an end.
I think
in short order. So he's not on my list of player. James Conner is not a player I'm buying.
But for 2/3, I mean, if they don't draft somebody, he's going to outproduce 2/3 pretty easily. So it's a decent gamble. I don't hate it.
It's also that if you find yourself competitive, it's cheaper to buy that running back fill in now than when you need it. So yeah, James Conner's that type. I get it.
He actually played pretty well this year.
Yeah, it's pretty decent play.
To be honest.
Great to see him healthy and on the field, to be honest.
I'll comment on this. Aaron Rodgers' odds to join the Raiders jumped to minus 450. Aaron Rodgers is going to be the Raiders' next quarterback.
That's crazy.
It's not official.
I didn't realize
that is going to happen. Aaron Rodgers is going to be the Raiders' next quarterback.
Minus 450 is crazy.
No, as ever was said, Aaron Rodgers just follows Devontae.
Somebody's got some inside information.
Someone absolutely has some inside information.
Yep.
But Aaron Rodgers is going to be.
There's
no chance of CJ Stroud going to Vegas. He's not going to be there at 7 anyway. I fully believe that CJ Stroud is. I think Indianapolis is going to trade up to number 1, and they're probably going to make the right decision and pick Bryce Young. And then I think CJ Stroud is going to go 2 to Houston.
I can't wait till Will Levis goes with one of those picks. And
we'll have to see. We'll have to see.
Please,
but
God, let him.
But no. In all seriousness, I haven't moved the rankings yet because it's not official. But my expectation is that Aaron Rodgers will be the Raiders' starting quarterback. That's my expectation. They do. A lot of things slow the internet. I've learned this recently. Trade DK and 104 for Chase in 1 QB. That is
fair. Expensive.
Fair. I mean, it is expensive. I mean, you're in a 1 QB that's going to be DK and like Addison or JSN probably. That's expensive.
Yeah, but he's worth it though. Jamar Chase
is worth it. Yeah, Jamar Chase is worth it, but that's not cheap. I guess I'd pay it, but that is not cheap.
Like
there is no cheap Jamar Chase, to be fair.
No,
we
know that.
No. Peter, remember when he was dropping footballs? That was cheap.
Oh yeah, no. When the white stripe was not on the ball,
that was fun. That was fun to say. Very unfun when I went to my league and they were like, "Bruh, Don't insult me.
I had one league. This is a home league where they don't draft until like preseason. They don't do it right after the real NFL draft. And so he was dropping all the balls, and Chase fell to 107 in that home league. It was ridiculous.
In the rookie draft?
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh my.
Super flex, right?
It was like 3 or 4 weeks into the preseason.
It's got to be super flex.
No, one quarterback. He was 107.
I mean, a very famous analyst had Chase as his wide receiver 7 in the class. So, what do we know?
It's just painful.
It is. It is very painful.
The guy quit. He's like, I'm out.
I'm honestly, I don't know.
I tried to trade up, but in my defense, so I was sitting at 112 because I just won the championship. Sorry, I know we're trying to go fast, but
he's flexing.
Well, so there was, because it was a preseason thing, there was all this hype for Terrace Marshall Jr. because he was having a great preseason, and it's a home league. I'm from North Carolina. Everybody's
trying to warn you.
So I'm at 112, and I said, I will trade this for any 23 first. And I have the 102 now in this class for what was Terrace Marshall Jr. So
I think that's the way to go about rookie. Last year was one of those years I hummed hard, but in rookie drafts, that's where I take my go get it kind of adrenaline. It's like pick the guy that you go up to the tier that you want. Don't let the last guy in the tier, because that's normally how you would draft. But instead in rookie drafts, it's go up and get the one that you want. So sorry, man. We're just deconstructing your league moves now.
Also, FF Lefty is a big fan, Peter. London looked good. Bye. I think we all agree on that, though. We talked about Elijah Moore enough. 110 or Burks? I'll take Burks. For me, I have Burks rated a similar value to the 106 in Superflex, so 110 is not nearly enough. A keeper trade, George Pickens.
We need a mid-first, probably.
Yeah.
Anything over the 107, I'm not sure on, but 107, damn, you good rate.
I have him between the 107 and the 108, so similar answer.
I think he's overvalued right now, so he's a guy I'm at least putting on the block and seeing what kind of offers I get.
That's
right. You're pulling the trigger on like 108.
Would you take 108?
I think I would.
Okay.
If someone buys into the one-hand catch metric, then you're golden. There's a trade to be made.
I am scared about the Jordan Addison to Pittsburgh buzz. I'm not going to lie.
It's been there.
Sorry. I said he's impressive on tape. I meant he's impressive on the highlight reel. Didn't mean to insult the tape process there. The highlight reel watchers like me, woo, he looks hot.
As someone who I feel like not a tape expert, but I've learned a little bit over the years, he does look good. He does look good.
He's good at some things.
He's good at everything that you need to be a fantasy high-end wide receiver.
Tell you what, if you're looking at a 22 wide receiver, I think it's a little undervalued, apart from Burks, it's Dotson. Earning those reps.
Dotson is way undervalued.
I love Dotson.
Oh, yeah. I mean, more undervalued than Burks. Yeah.
Strong ceiling on him, but like he had a great, let's respect that play.
Actually, given
30 reps a game.
Given their current prices, Burks is actually more undervalued.
Trade the DLF rankings, and
but according to their current ADP, I find Burks to be more of a value.
DLF rankings has Burks at 20 and Jahan Dotson at like 38 or something like that.
Trade.
So I know it's different than ADP.
I'll be honest.
That's wide receiver.
I'll be honest that I have not looked at the DLF rankings in many years.
Yeah.
Trade Pickens for Dotson plus. Thank me later.
You can probably do that.
Yeah.
No, I look at DLF ADP all the time, but I don't, and the trade
that.
Analyzer, but I rarely ever look at the DLF rankings. To be honest, I very rarely look at anyone's rankings. I don't. That's just not something I do. Like if I'm looking for another source of an opinion, I want an opinion of the market more than another set of rankings. Like I'm very interested in what the market is saying. I want to know. That's very important to me. But just looking at someone else's, if I used to do that, I used to look at other people's rankings, and then I found that my rankings weren't my rankings. They were just my conglomerate of everyone else's rankings. I'm like, that's not helpful. Like I want to give people my rankings. So I actually somewhat actively avoid looking at those kind of rankings. I do it for rookies, but not for veterans. I don't look at like veteran dynasty rankings from anyone anymore. Okay. Rapid fire Super Bowl winner and final score. I can start. I think I'll go with the Chiefs. How about 28-24? How about that?
Oh, come on, man.
What?
I'm going to be a homer and say the Eagles, of course.
You're a homer. We know this.
35-24.
What's the over-under?
Guys,
I don't
the
know,
Chiefs
it's
are
50.
going to
I'll
win.
look.
The
You
Chiefs
guys give
are
your
going
answer,
to
I'll
win
look.
27-21. I'm just telling you, that's the score.
27-21. Okay.
It's going to be, yeah.
The over-under is 50.5. So I was like right there with that.
I'm low on the over-under.
You're right below it.
Take the under.
35
go the over.
Chiefs.
35-21, you said?
Peter?
That's what I
Don't
want
know.
to happen. I don't
Don't
try
know.
not to speak
Just
out.
pick which team?
No,
Which team? Which
just
team?
gonna enjoy the
Who's
game.
winning?
Honestly, I don't even know who's in it at this point.
Yeah.
I was like,
You
I
don't
was
know who's
actually
in it.
gonna
We
say-
just
You don't know
both
who's
said
in
it.
it? We all just said it.
I don't listen to people. Like I like my opinions to be uninfluenced by all
I feel
yours.
I feel like we have
I was
we have a
gonna
lot
say-
in common. I feel like the people
Wow,
maybe the
that's
process
embarrassing,
is
man.
not in common, but I feel like you and I actually have a good amount in common with some of like
Well,
the other things.
I don't know what to say. You're welcome. I was gonna say Jared Larkey used to be player profiler's main guy. Now he's doing
Josh
something
Larkey?
Josh Larkey, thank you.
Yeah. I've done a couple
little
shows with
too-
him. He's great.
A little too influencer for me, a little too hip, wears fashionable things. I don't understand him, but he does know his stuff analytically, and I know he's
He does.
making content about the Super Bowl. I would say check him out. Like I'd just be throwing out numbers and names. Like I'm just
I
gonna
would
enjoy the
say
game.
That's what I did.
his content is great. I can't do the TikTok kind of stuff that he does. It's just not my
It's
thing.
so-
Like
It's so popular.
I just
And
can't do
this
it.
is just
I don't
me
know
being a
how.
grumpy old man, but like he's hip and he's cool. You'll
Matt
enjoy
and Josh
him.
know a little bit about
Yeah.
that, are better at that than me. I mean, Matt did a nice cut up for a short on this channel, and Josh, I feel like you do some like shorter videos more like that than I do. But I just struggle with the TikTok stuff. It's just comes so unnaturally to me. I think people can do it and they're great at it, but it's just I can do it, but it really doesn't come naturally.
Look at my videos from 3 years ago that I made, those same style. I'm a completely different person. I'm like, hey, yeah, fantasy football, you like it?
Oh
yeah.
my god.
It's
We're gonna
just-
find those,
I do
and
not-
we're gonna.
I do not sound like myself whatsoever.
I like to do shorts in season because everything happens so fast, and shorts
so
help you
true.
be able to react to it in real time.
I got to do better with that next year.
Because
I gotta do better.
format, like film breakdowns, take me a couple weeks to make, and by the time I get to it, it's old news. So I make a bunch of shorts in season, and I do a bunch of long form videos. for
In
rookie
season, I
follow-up.
got to make more shorts. I just feel like I should have made more, and I just didn't do it. Burke's greater than 110. Yeah, obviously. And then we talked about Pickens. I got the 101 for the 103, 110, and 224 seconds. Did I overpay?
No.
I'm going to say no. I don't think you overpaid. I
That's
think
a pretty good deal.
Yeah, I
actually.
think that's
Sounds like an underpay.
That's
a
what you're looking
lower
for.
deal than I've seen in the past.
You're probably giving up a wide receiver. You're gonna spend the next few years like, damn it, I want that guy, but you're gonna have to.
I mean,
you know, look
103
over
is
your
probably a
running back.
quarterback.
It's fine.
110 is going to be something, and then the 224 seconds are what they are.
I think that's very much even slightly below mark. I think you did a good trade. You
It's
could-
below
some guy-
market, but
Probably paid
value-wise,
more on
it's
draft day.
pretty fair.
But what is
It-
the market?
It's a rare
value?
trade for the 101 where I don't feel like it's a massive overpay. Put it that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many tight ends are you taking in the first round? If 3 to 4 go in the first round, with 2.5 tight end premium.
I've been thinking
unless
about this
it's-
since he posted it, and I don't know.
Unless it's start 2 tight ends, I'm probably not. The only tight end I'd be taking in the first round is Michael Meyer.
2.5 points is a lot.
But
That's freaking ridiculous.
it raises the value of everybody.
I
The
love
thing
Yeah,
about
but-
tight end premium is it does more to
Tight
separate out.
ends are getting 2 catches.
Exactly. That's why I'm not as.
It raises
does
that
do
value
more to
for
separate
everybody,
them
but
out.
if you break down the point scale, like Travis Kelce's literally winning you leagues, and then
Right,
the
but
12th
if you're
tight end
not
is
elite,
doing nothing
if-
for you.
Even at that scale, if you're not elite, you're still not winning anything.
But if
I
these
will
tight ends
say,
are going in the first
I-
round in a 2.5 tight end premium league, yeah, it's
I
gonna
I
push
still
him
think
into that.
only Michael Meyer in this class has any elite.
I love
possibility.
Dalton Kincaid. In fact, Dalton Kincaid, I think could be a better fantasy tight end than Michael Mayer because
I will believe that when I see it.
He's significantly more athletic, and I think Meyer might be a better real life tight end prospect and a better blocker and a more complete player. But I think Kincaid has fantasy upside that really excites me. So hot take, I like Dalton Kincaid a ton. In a 2.5 point tight end premium league, if he had the draft capital, I would be very comfortable taking Kincaid that high.
Oh, were we talking about the rookie draft? Oh,
yes.
Okay. Yeah, no, let someone else do that.
I'm
say for next year's pick because I think the prospect in 2024 is like legit. Meyer's fine.
Brock
And
Bowers.
Kincaid's interesting, but I think the guy meant to be coming out next year is like that eye popping kind of guy.
Yeah, to Georgia. Yeah,
I'm interested to see where Michael Mayer lands. To be honest,
honestly,
how high is he going to go?
The Bengals are probably the team that I see him mock drafted to the most is the Bengals.
Really? I don't see that. I don't see it. I don't see it making him that far. That's why I haven't seen that. I don't see him getting to 28. Is it? That's not what I've seen in the majority. This right here says he's averaging in the mock drafts 16th. So I think the odds he makes it to 28 are slim. A lot of the landing spots. I mean, there's some I've heard Green Bay bandied about. Houston at 12, I feel like is kind of the high end possibility. Maybe, yeah, probably not Tennessee 11. Probably Houston at 12 is the highest he could go. Seen a little bit of Green Bay. Some Detroit at 18 is popular. Washington would be interesting.
Oh,
not a landing spot I'd like. Not a landing spot I'd like, but I think it's a possibility.
I mean, Logan Thomas is getting up there. So,
I mean, Tampa Bay maybe, but I think they like what they have in Cade Otton. And of course, the Chargers would also be potentially interesting if the wide receivers are all gone by that point. I think he could go there, but I find it very unlikely that he's going to make it all the way down to the Bengals.
Sophomore tight end is where it's at. Like I don't start really getting into.
Oh, Trey McBride, I mean, is one of the biggest buys in all of Dynasty. Yeah. Trey McBride, I think Jelani Woods. I feel like people are not really seeing his potential.
Okonkwo.
Yes, Okonkwo. Though I have seen, depending on the situation, I've seen other people valuing him a little bit higher. So it kind of depends.
Daniel Bellinger is interesting.
Greg Dulcich, but he's already valued.
Daniel Bellinger, I found, is actually pretty fairly valued. The big buys for me are Jelani Woods is the biggest, and then Trey McBride is the second most undervalued to me. I mean,
I would fit them
is
in
also
trades.
undervalued.
I wouldn't talk.
Oh, you know who's also undervalued? Who's not as young? David Njoku. David Njoku is also undervalued.
The only tight
ends passing game is going to be better for the Browns next year, I would assume.
I'd say the only tight ends that are buys right now is like Pitts for the first time is a reasonable value.
Pitts is a buy. That's another one, yeah.
Muth, Kittle, and Kelsey because everyone thinks age is a thing. Like age doesn't exist.
To me, Kittle is actually overpriced. So
I'm
out on Kittle.
Kittle in the first 4 Pitts in a league this year.
I love that.
I'm in a rebuild. I sent Kittle in a late first for Pitts.
I'm really at their current prices. Kittle is ahead of Goddard, who's ahead of Freiermuth, and I'd rather have Freiermuth. Almost 4 years younger than Goddard, and more than 5 younger than Kittle, and I think he has a lot of potential.
I'm a big Freiermuth guy.
Well, Freiermuth had a lot of. I mean, for a tight end to have the level,
so I'm good.
Yeah, well, I recommended people do that last year as well, but I still think he's not really getting the respect he deserves for a tight end who had good draft capital and has done very well in his first 2 years. The reason why people don't like him
has done except disappoint you.
The reason why people don't like him is that he only scored 2 touchdowns this year, but he did what you want. I mean, he increased his target share, he increased his yardage. You know, everything was increased except that he only scored 2 touchdowns. So, but for that reason, he let people down for fantasy. And that's why his price has not gone up to the level that it would have if he'd scored 2 touchdowns as a rookie and 7 touchdowns this year. He would be going 3 rounds higher. The problem is that he scored 7 touchdowns as a rookie and 2 this year. If you just reverse those, he'd be much higher. But, like recency bias, I don't think he became a worse touchdown scorer in year 2. It just didn't work. The ball didn't bounce his way.
I think you're also underrating the high T nature of George Kittle's Viking status. But I like Ryan. I want to talk to Ryan. Like, I feel like we're keeping the Zoomer from doing something much more interesting. I just want to check in that he's not trying to say something and I monopolize the time. Like, where you at?
Here. I had a long day of work. I was sick. I went in late. I had a long day.
Sorry in that case, I just apologize. No, we're about to leave and I haven't got to talk to you much. I was like, I'm just going to bother him for a second.
I'm in the Discord.
Right.
I'm in your Discord. I'll chat to you in your Discord.
Yeah.
All right.
I do appreciate Ryan for being like, I understand what it's like to do a show when you're sick.
Oh, you sick as well? Oh, I'm sorry, dude.
Me?
I didn't know.
Oh, I feel better than yesterday's show was hell.
I'm sure.
For me to do. I hadn't eaten anything for like the whole day before doing it because I had food poisoning. Today I feel a little bit better. Still not great, but much better. Musgrave. Oh, Darnell Washington. I mean, we'll see.
He's huge.
We got to see the draft capital though, because that's so critical on a guy like that. If the NFL's in, I'll be in with them. If the NFL's out, I'll be out with them.
It seems like a Jelani Wood. It's going to be a combine. This guy's built to see what the NFL thinks. Kind of a
exactly. Yeah. If the NFL is going to tell me how in I am. It's not like Michael Mayer, who I'm in on it. I know the NFL is going to pick him in the first round. I'm in on him. I need the NFL to tell me if they're in on Darnell Washington or not. That's more likely. I actually think that would make a lot of sense. Kincaid would be there. I mean, could be there. Meyer won't be. But Kincaid to the Bengals would be a great fit. I mean, we saw what Hayden Hurst did this year, and Hayden Hurst is just a guy. So,
I forget
would love that
prospect that Daniel Jeremiah had Dalton Kincaid at, but I know it was top 10.
I'd love that landing spot. I mean, that would be a landing spot where I'd definitely be in on him if he actually goes there. But for someone like Kincaid, getting that first round draft capital is going to be very important to me. If he doesn't get it, I'm not going to be nearly as interested as if he does. If he does, I'm going to move him way up my board. I think it's just that we're so desperate. That's why for Kyle Pitts, I mean, I love him, but like we want that next elite tight end to come out. We're waiting. We're so desperate for that, So I think we're all trying to find the next Darren Waller too. The next like guy who comes out of nowhere and then like jumps in. That happens once every 4 years, but we're always trying to find that.
I mean, I'm still reminiscing about Tyler Eifert scoring double-digit touchdowns. So yeah, we're looking for a new tight end.
How many Tylers are there? I mean, Tyler.
We're actually in a really rich tight end era.
Tyler Kroft. Remember Tyler Kroft's star turn?
Tight end is an interesting one as far as draft capital goes. You mentioned like wanting to see the first round capital, but there's been so many first round busts. I think Ebron, Fant, I mean, even to an extent, Hawkinson has been disappointing given the draft capital that he got. I mean, no, he's not a bust, but not like what people hoped that he could be or would be. And actually a lot of the top tight ends that you're seeing didn't have that high draft capital, right? I mean, like Kelsey was
hit and miss. Sorry, Karen.
Third round, I think. Kelsey.
Yeah, but he was the drafted guy that year. Like we were disappointing after his rookie season. Then he got injured, and like we've just waited a little longer for him. I would say,
late round pick.
You always want to be picked earlier.
Yeah, I mean it's better opportunity, but I'm just saying, like, I don't know that draft capital is as predictive for tight ends as it is.
I think it is. I just think that the sample size is so small at tight end that you have a few recent examples that are obviously moving that a lot. I mean, if you look at a lot of the best tight ends of all time, they were picked in the first round.
I mean, there's also Delaney Walker
picked in the first round. Rob Gronkowski. Where was
Rob Gronkowski? Was not a first round.
Oh, he wasn't a first. I thought he was.
No.
Oh,
Aaron Hernandez was in the same draft, and I think picked before Rob Gronkowski.
Really?
I believe so. I think it was second and third round pick, if I remember correctly. Going off memory here, it's been a while.
No,
Mark Andrews was also a third round pick, I believe.
No, he was second. They picked
Mark
Hayden
Andrews
Hurst
was
in the
second?
first before him. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I know.
No,
I know Hayden Hurst was picked in the same. No.
Yeah, we got to.
Same draft, one round later. The thing about the
Lamar too.
Patriots, the
Lamar
Patriots
was
tight
first
ends
round.
is both also hit, and the Ravens have actually got a habit of drafting two at a time, and at least both having.
Isaiah
One
Likely.
of them is Kobe Fleener, but at least gets in the top 12 once.
Kobe
That's what makes
Fleener.
likely.
That's
Yeah. Hey man, I'm old. I know things.
I remember those days too. It just brings me back. Like I was saying about Tyler Eifert too.
Last year. I don't know.
Been waiting.
The thing about
Long
tight
time.
end is they're all weird. That's what you got to know. They all do weird things, but the general trends work. What I'd say right now is everyone's overthinking tight end. In fact, everyone always overthinks tight end. You're actually in the richest tight end market that you've ever been in. Don't go spending second, thirds, late first on is this guy the weird guy? Like if you've got Goddard, you've got Hawkinson, you've got Kittle, you've got. I can remember the last time we had five guys I'd say were easy week to week starts, and that was when we had Gates, and we also had Witten, and like they weren't great, but they were easy. You start them every week, and it's fine. And it's been a while since we had it, so don't overplay the hand. We rarely get Gronk, Graham, and a Hernandez. Unfortunately, how that went. And then there's these one-hit wonders, one-year wonders. So like, don't overplay the hand too much, especially when Travis Kelce is like 1 billion years old, and everyone's like, "Oh, I better get out of here." It's
just so tough when there's been one tight end drafted in the first round in the last 3 years. Like
speaking of
the sample
tight
size
end, can I interest you in
is
Gary
tiny.
Barnidge? Anyone?
Hmm?
The good old Gary Barnidge days for the Browns.
Oh my god!
Barnidge was fun.
Amazing race star, Gary.
Undrafted.
1 year wonder.
Amazing race star. He was on the Amazing Race.
I appreciate that very weak A. Thank you very much to the undrafted crew.
Mercedes Lewis is still in the NFL.
He's still kicking. He's still kicking
In the
touchdowns.
NFL. He's had like 3 different careers, and he's still here. But yeah, no. Let's wrap up the show. So, what does anyone have anything else they want to plug?
We can plug things. No, I'm good.
Sub to both of these guys on Patreon. They both have
Check
great
out-
Discords.
Yes.
and
You
do
two
whatever
get a
Ryan
Patreon
wants.
down there?
Like I really support Ryan right now. So like
That's my
do what he's
Patreon.
at.
Patreon.com/fantasy advice.
I appreciate it if you check out my YouTube channel. Not that we're gonna make it, but like I really enjoy doing that stuff. I like to grumble about TikTok and YouTube, but I absolutely love making that shit. I just also like grumbling, so let me do both.
We'll
Love
let you do
that.
it.
And yeah, I'm so sorry. But yeah, no, I got
Aaron
nothing else
Donald?
to plug. My shows will be here. No, you're good. Don't worry. The show is ending. But
He's good.
this is my Patreon, patreon.com/fantasy advice. And then my shows will be here every Monday, 2 p.m. Eastern, every Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern. And then there'll be some additional content on the YouTube channel, whenever I get around to doing that kind of randomly. And then, yeah, my articles are at DLF. I just dropped another one today about rookie pick value. So check that out. And I submitted another one. So that'll be in the pipeline as well. And yeah, I appreciate everyone for coming on the show. It's always great when it goes longer than I intended. That always means that the guests were amazing. And I just wanted to keep the conversation going for longer. So I appreciate all of you for coming on. And yeah,
We're all just
we'll
going
have
to keep
to-
with Ryan. Let's be honest. We're all just going.
we'll have to do this again soon. But yeah, thanks to the audience, and I will catch you all later.
Thanks for having us.